last one before they pull the plug.
I don't see why they have to shut us down completely. Radio's still running.
Because it's an order, Frank. They're worried the signal could be used to help the enemy bombers navigate. Don't want to help the Jerrys know where we are at night.
Orders are orders, Frank. You want to argue? Take it up with the War Office.
I'd sooner the war be over.
We all would. 10 seconds.
Good afternoon, Britain. This is BBC Television broadcasting live from Alexandra Palace. The time is 12:04 in the afternoon on the 1st of September. By order of His Majesty's Government, this will be the final BBC television transmission before service is indefinitely suspended. It has been abruptly deemed necessary
Did you
for
hear
national
them? Just
security
start.
that our screens go
Ignore it.
dark. Radio will continue to bring you news, music and stories to carry us through the difficult days ahead. And one day, when peace finds us again, these cameras will flicker back to life. And so until peace returns, we say goodnight. We'll be seeing you again soon.
Tell Mother I love her.
What the hell was that?
Interference. Just pack it up, Frank.
You don't get interference whispering people's names.
Could be a stray radio signal. Or a joke.
Joke or not, we're done here. Len, power down the camera and come with me. Frank, sound desk off. We've got our orders.
No arguing with that.
Well, that's that then.
It feels strange, doesn't it? I mean, this is the first time television's shut down.
We'll be back. One day. Probably by Christmas.
That's supposed to happen?
We're off air, aren't we?
Yeah, I switched us down. No transmission, no signal, nothing.
What was that?
Probably signals crossing wires, picking up something else from the BBC radio.
We don't broadcast radio in this department.
Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him.
Something's not right here. We should shut everything down. Completely.
Do it.
I know you can hear me. Please, help us.
Everything's off. No power, no signal. Dead as it gets.
Then why does it feel like we're still on air?
There. Did you hear that?
What was it?
That sounded like...
A person? Someone writing?
That shouldn't be on. I shut the mains down myself.
Is it possible we're picking something up? From a nearby transmitter?
There is no nearby transmitter. We're it.
She's only 6. I don't want to
This isn't right. It's not just noise, it's people.
If you're still out there, tell them we're still here.
Nothing's powered, but we've still got voices coming through. That doesn't happen. Not without someone sending them.
Can signals bounce around this long?
Maybe, but not like that. Certainly not this far, depending on where they're from.
You think someone's playing a prank?
On what, a dead line?
You're asking the wrong questions.
Who are you?
I'm the doctor, just passing through. Though I must say, what you've got here is fascinating.
This is a closed studio? No visitors allowed? How did you get in?
I have a way with words. We were listening to the final broadcast. You've heard it already, haven't you? Voices in the static.
You know what this is?
I know what it isn't. It's not interference. It's not a ghost. It's not even a recording.
Then what the hell is it?
If memory serves me well, it's called static. Not a thing exactly. More like a parasite made of sound, and sound is ephemeral. It plays pain, grief, fear, and projects it, broadcasting the grief back over and over. But because it's ephemeral, it reaches forward into the future and pulls grief back that hasn't happened yet into the past. Someone dying on the battlefield in 1944? You can hear their last breath now. A mother's scream from 1945. It'll echo now and bleed here in 1939, because the more grief it spreads, the more it feeds. The more it feeds, the stronger it becomes. It's a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, sorry about him. He likes to speak in monologues.
And who are you?
I'm Kai. I travel with the doctor.
Each to their own. Liberty Hall is what I say.
So, why are you here? Why is all this happening as soon as you arrive?
It's actually the other way around. We've arrived because of this happening. I think we can help.
Yeah, I said I wanted to listen to the last BBC broadcast before the Second World War, but it didn't sound right. There's nothing about mysterious voices on the BBC website looking back. Oh, yeah. Sorry, ignore me.
He's mad.
Anyway, can we get back to these creepy voices, please? You're telling us this thing is alive.
Not in the way you'd recognise. It's not a physical being, just signal, feedback. But yes, it's alive in the same way that pain is alive. And it remembers.
That makes no sense. We're not even transmitting anymore.
Exactly. That's what makes this one different. Most signals need to be transmitted with machinery. The static can embed itself in your broadcasts without. To keep broadcasting even after the equipment shuts down.
But that's not possible. Nothing should be able to do that.
Technically, you're right. At this time, only the BBC has the infrastructure to broadcast television in Britain. No other stations, no pirate feeds. You have the studios, the masts, the engineers, the frequency licenses, everything. I'm doing what I've been trying to stop you doing, Kai.
I told you it was hard to get the tenses
Where
right.
did the pictures go? Why have they stopped?
I'm not imagining this, am I?
No, it's drawn to moments like this. This is close to present time. That is, or was, someone's reaction about 5 minutes ago, when reality has not quite kicked in yet. When silence falls too quickly.
So, what? It's evil static?
No! It clings to emotional resonance. As the signal becomes stronger, it'll project more and more signals from the future to keep humanity in constant fear, and for longer too. If this was a small station, it wouldn't be so much of an issue, but this is the biggest microphone
by
in the
Christmas.
country.
Alright, let's just say this thing's real. What does it want?
It doesn't want in the way that we understand. It needs, it feeds on grief. It loops those moments from the future by bringing them to the past so the pain never fades. That way the sound is amplified and more visceral, so it can feed again.
But how is it even here? How's it doing this?
Sound is ephemeral, Jasmine. Fleeting, but it lingers. Broadcast waves drift off into the atmosphere. Some escape into space, but others, they bounce. Because for something like this, time isn't linear. It's a location.
Good afternoon, Britain. This is BBC Television.
That's me.
We'll be seeing you again
That's what
soon.
I said earlier today, just 10 minutes ago.
That's not a recording. That's you.
The static uses any sound that is temporarily close enough in the past, or indeed the future, to harness and feed
You
back.
smiled. You said the words, but you didn't mean them.
No, that's not her. That is not her.
It's trying to finish the broadcast without us.
And if it does, it'll be in control of Britain's airwaves.
It's using our system. Like it belongs here. But we're not even transmitting anymore.
It's mimicking me. The way I spoke. The rhythm, even the stillness between the words.
Because it was listening.
The broadcast was finished. I signed off. I said what they told me to say.
Regardless, the static doesn't come from nowhere. It feeds on pain from the present to harness pain from the past and the future. They're not ghosts, they're not recordings, they are real people. Grief drawn out of time. Their pain is still happening, just not here. Not yet.
And it's dragging it backwards?
To keep it fresh, to keep it from ending. It doesn't just echo suffering, it harvests it.
I tried to hold his hand. It was too was already gone.
The window broke, and the room was destroyed, and Mum didn't wake up. I waited for someone to come.
They said the wrong name. For 3 days, I thought he was alive.
That's not interference. That's suffering.
It's grief, spoken and out of its time. It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't exist here. But it does. And the future could very well be worse off for it.
We do apologise for any
That's not
irregularities
me.
in transmission.
It wants to be. Because if it can speak last, it writes the ending.
Then we don't let it in.
You can't silence it with switches and dials. You have to resolve the fear. Jasmine Bligh is Britain's voice in one of its darkest hours.
Live again. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. This is BBC Television, broadcasting perhaps for the last time. We were never trained for goodbyes, only scripts, schedules, signals. But what's coming next? There's no schedule for that. This country is bracing for something we can't fully understand. And some of you listening, you won't come back. Young men will most likely be called up, some willingly, others with a letter they never want to open. You'll wear uniforms that don't feel like yours, marching boots that were made for someone else.
I didn't want to kill you. He said that made me a coward.
You weren't. You were brave in a way most won't understand.
They put me in prison. I wouldn't wear the uniform or the badge. I wouldn't lie.
And you who refused to carry a gun, you were told you didn't belong. But conscience is not cowardice, and silence is not surrender. You'll say goodbye to your children. They will be taken to safety, away from here, at least just for now.
She said I'd be home by
She
Christmas.
said I'd be home by Christmas. But the house was gone.
Drawing them out. These are testimonials.
And it doesn't want them healed.
Some of you will open envelopes that stop time. Folded words. The last thing someone ever wrote. Or worse, someone else telling you they're gone. Times will be hard. There will be tragedy ahead, but humanity will prevail. We always do.
I read it and skipped him. I didn't move for hours. They spelled his name wrong.
I don't know what lies ahead for us. I still don't fully understand, but maybe that's okay for now. You'll come back changed. We all will. Some of you won't recognise yourselves. Family dynamics will be different.
I wrote letters I never sent. I didn't want them to worry.
You were kind and afraid and brave in ways no one should have to be.
I tried not to scream. That made it worse when I screamed.
You deserved peace. You will have your peace.
He put bodies in church. I saw Mum's clothes.
I burned my birth certificate so they didn't know who I was.
I stood still, and they didn't
We
see.
taught ourselves to go quiet, to hide pain in drawers and diaries. But silence doesn't bury grief. Only gives a space to grow unnoticed. You waited in the quiet, and I'm here now, so you don't have to wait anymore.
I've never heard such a speech. This is surreal. The static cannot thrive on solidarity. Bligh is unifying a nation for something they cannot even begin to comprehend.
You are not forgotten. You're not erased. You're not interference.
He cried out for so long, and no one picked him up.
He wasn't just a soldier. He was a son, a person. And he deserved to be loved for who he was, not what he gave.
I never saw my house again. Not even in dreams.
Buried it without a coffin, just a coat.
They told me my brother was missing. I waited for years.
I cleaned blood from the bathroom floor and still rang the bell.
We ate soup made from wallpaper paste. Mum said it was stew. They never told me it was trash.
I kept his picture under the floorboard. Why never knew.
I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know how long this silence will last, or who will survive it, but I know what I've heard. You were conscripted. You were forgotten. You were labelled cowards because you couldn't bear to kill. You were told to smile while the world burned behind you. You lost your children, or maybe you were the children. You waited in craters and churches and basements for help that never came. You died afraid and alone and unheard, and now somehow we've heard you. I can't explain what this was, and the truth is, I think the man who can explain shouldn't exist. The world will go quiet for a while. There will be fear, there will be grief, and there will be pain that tries to convince us that we've lost ourselves completely. But we won't. Because even as the screens go dark, even as the voices fall silent, we will still tell stories, still remember names, still rebuild anything that is destroyed. That's what we do. We lose everything and then we begin again. So, to whoever is watching, or listening, whenever you are, we will remember.
She did it.
Is it gone?
Yes, the static is burnt out, but signals don't die. Not really. They fade, they drift, and they go on forever. But they won't reach us anymore. They could be halfway across the other side of space by now.
I think that's it. The equipment, it's not transmitting anything.
There's no signal, no voices, just quiet.
Jasmine, you spoke of things that you couldn't have known. Evacuations, blackouts, conscription. Where did it come from?
Some of it was memory. My father served in the Great War. He told me things when I was little, but this wasn't like that. I didn't remember it. It wasn't remembering. It was like someone gave me the memories. I could see things all at once. Things no one's lived yet. Not here, not now.
Some of what you said matches with what my old man said about the Great War. Especially the grief.
This was worse. There were things I've never seen. Evacuee trains, sirens, people hiding under stairs, smoke in the sky that didn't stop. I saw them. Not like memories, like I was living it.
The static doesn't just echo the past. It latches on to grief, whatever shape it takes, past or future. It pushes suffering forward, trying to make it endless.
It didn't want me to understand. It wanted me to drown. So many voices, so much pain. It wasn't mourning. It was feeding. And it wanted to pull me down with it.
But you didn't. You stayed standing. You didn't let it win.
It screamed when I started to fight back. It wanted to keep going. To keep grieving forever.
That's what it thrives on. Not memory. Wounds. The ones that never heal. And you closed them.
You did something it couldn't bear. You gave it a boundary, an ending.
It's still echoing in my head. Like I walked through fire and came out the other side. But the smoke's still inside my lungs.
But it's over, Jasmine. It's not in control anymore. Whatever horrors were waiting to happen, you took them out of its hands. You ended it.
No. I didn't end anything. I said it would be dishonest of me to end it. I just answered it. That's all it ever wanted, wasn't it?
Not answers, recognition. Don't forget those voices were echoes of events to happen, meant to scare the public of now. The voices that go unheard. The voice of the soldier who's dying on the battlefield. The voice of the widowed mother who receives a death telegram in the post. And the voice of the baby who grows up without a father. All are moments that shatter the mind, where breaths become shallow, where time stops, where a human being becomes a ghost in their own skin. kind of pain that doesn't fade, only buries itself deeper until it eats you away from the inside.
So, now what?
Now, history keeps going. War begins, broadcasts stop. People forget this moment ever happened.
But not all of them.
Do you think anyone heard it?
Maybe. Maybe someone somewhere. There's only about 20,000 TV sets in Britain at this point.
You two never explained, did you?
Explain what?
You knew this wasn't a normal broadcast. You knew there was something wrong before it started. Before we even knew.
You spoke about voices we hadn't even heard yet. Events that have yet to happen. And all that talk about grief and echoes and unfinished things. You weren't guessing. You've seen this before, haven't you?
Not exactly. But I know the extent of damage that could be caused by unresolved grief.
That's not an answer.
It's the only one you're gonna get.
You said this wasn't meant to happen. That this, today, was never part of history. So what's supposed to happen?
There was always a final broadcast made by the BBC in 1939 for the impending war, of course. Just not like this.
So what changed?
The static trying to corrupt Britain's airwaves. I've seen the documents. You have a list of programmes set up for today's scheduling, but you were told this morning that you got to shut it all down abruptly, right?
And you're saying all of this, what we just lived through, it's from the future?
Yes. Every one of those voices came from somebody, somewhere, in the future. The static caused this, showed you all a glimpse into the future, and exposed you all to the inevitable dark times that's yet to come.
We came to investigate it. I wondered why things were not the same as history remembers.
This is going to sound ridiculous, but you've got to come from the future. I mean, earlier when one of you mentioned how that wasn't how the broadcast goes, as if you had seen it already. That got my suspicions. But then you start naming equipment here as if it's old technology for you. Not only that, but you seem to know more about this impending war than anyone who should. Sounds to me like it won't be over by Christmas then.
Even I'm starting to believe that could well be the case. And before all this, I was probably the most sensible one in the room.
Yes, well, Kai wanted to listen to the final BBC broadcast, which we had to live, because what you're about to do isn't recorded. TV doesn't start getting officially recorded until a few decades after. We listened in, and we knew something was wrong, so we dropped in.
We really do have a bleak future ahead then. For quite a while too, it seems.
Yes, the next few years will be one of Britain's darkest times. Hell, the world's darkest times. There will be suffering, injustice, and grief on an incomprehensible scale.
Doctor, can't we tell him the outcome?
No, way too risky. Temporal causality is a delicate thing. Poke it in the wrong place and history deflates entirely. The tiniest knowledge of an event's resolution can cause unpredictable shifts in one's psychology, moral trajectory, and quantum narrative alignment for the universe.
Oh, Okay, look. We can't tell you the outcome of this war, apparently, but I really, really, really don't think you have anything to worry about at all. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, going all wordy-dirty doesn't suit me, does it?
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Thank you both. So, would everyone who was tuned into our broadcast have heard all of this?
Live and crystal clear. Heard by whoever's still watching.
Yes, but history won't record this broadcast exactly as it happened. Tonight will simply remain an abrupt ending. Just wartime caution. No mention of comforting words, lost voices, or echoes in static.
So, nobody will ever know?
We'll know. And perhaps sometimes that's enough.
So it's finally over? No more static? No more echoes?
Hey, first time in a while today, this place feels normal again.
Normal, but strangely different. It feels as though it's the end of an era. Do you think anyone will even remember tonight clearly?
Maybe not. History really remembers moments exactly as they were, only if we choose to record them. Tonight will probably be remembered as just another quiet, technical shutdown. Wartime caution, nothing more.
But that doesn't mean tonight's wasn't significant, does it?
Not at all. Sometimes the most important moments are the quiet ones. The ones nobody notices. The ones that change things subtly behind the scenes.
Yet, now it all pauses. I wonder if television will ever truly catch on after this.
Oh, I think you'll find television has a bright future ahead. This isn't an ending, just a brief intermission.
Optimist, are you?
Well, you could say that.
And what happens to all this? This studio, these people? Do they just wait?
They'll do what everyone does. Carry on, adapt, wait for the moment when the lights come back on, as they always do. History tends to find its way forward eventually.
It feels strange, doesn't it? Like saying goodbye to an old friend.
Aye, strange times, Miss Bly. Strange indeed.
I wonder if anyone out there truly heard our final message clearly. If it meant
Well,
something.
I reckon it did. We did our best. Can't ask for more than that.
Doctor, do you think everything's back to normal now?
Normal's relative, Kai. History's always adjusting. Tiny shifts, little ripples, this quiet, this peace. It won't last forever, but it matters tonight.
You sound like someone who's seen more than a few quiet endings.
I've seen enough to know that endings tend to be beginnings in disguise.
I wonder what people will think when these lights finally come back on.
Oh, they'll think it's about time.
Then until that moment comes, perhaps tonight is enough. We've said our goodbyes properly, haven't we?
We certainly have, Miss Bly.
Not quite. It's 12:30. I think there's still time for the real final broadcast. One untouched by the static.
Right. The rest of the team should still be around the building, shouldn't they? We can just say there was an equipment fault, that we had to delay transmission slightly.
They thought what we did earlier was the sign-off.
Then we tell them it wasn't. Signal cut early, audio interference, none of the information got out.
You've got to retake it. Nobody needs to know why.
You really think they'll go along with that?
They'll accept it, because nobody wants to believe in anything stranger than a blown cable or a dodgy piece of equipment. And that's good. That's how you tell it.
So we reset the scene. We bring them back in, we sign off properly.
And this time, it's for real.
Best of luck, both of you. You'll both survive what's to come. I just know it.
Nice to meet you both. I'll be listening to that final broadcast, the proper one this time. Let's go then, before someone asks us to help carry cables or something.
You'd make a dreadful technician.
And you'd make a worse assistant. So, Doctor, what exactly happened tonight? I mean, officially.
Officially? On September the 1st, 1939, the British government ordered the immediate shutdown of BBC television. They feared that the signals could guide enemy bombers towards London. And then at 12:35, television screens across Britain simply faded to black, without ceremony.
Just like that? No big farewell, no speeches, nothing about these lost voices we heard?
Exactly. History recorded it as just another wartime precaution, a technical footnote in the bigger story of the war.
But in reality?
In reality, it was much more complicated. The static hijacked the BBC television transmitter and equipment earlier in 1939, ready to feast on the impending war announcements and future suffering endured during what would become World War II.
And because we interfered, even subtly, that fixed what should have happened?
What you knew about the final transmission before today's trip is because of what we've done now after today's trip. I love it when time works like that. History repairs itself.
So, those signals were genuine cries for help? Or terror or pain?
Exactly. Just misplaced in time. They happened, but just not yet from that time.
But nobody back there, Frank, Jasmine, they had no idea who we were, did they?
Not a clue. To them, we were simply just helpful strangers who somehow got past BBC security.
But if those were just copies of voices that were ripped from the future, how did talking to them live sort things out?
She was never speaking to the voices directly. The only way to get through to the static is by cutting off what fuels them. She cut off this signal by listening to the grief and addressing it. It was perfect. She couldn't resolve it. Nobody could resolve all that grief. But she addressed it and minimised its strength.
Can we listen to the final broadcast? The proper final broadcast.
Yeah, let's get it on the scanner.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is BBC Television, broadcasting from Alexandra Palace. Before we end tonight's service, we'd like to thank you for spending your time with us today. We do apologise for any irregularities in transmission earlier this afternoon. We trust everything is now in order. In a moment, we'll bring you Mickey's gala premiere.
I forgot about that. The very last thing that viewers saw on TV before it went off was a Mickey Mouse cartoon. Mickey's gala premiere. Even in the face of despair, they managed to put on one more light-hearted show for viewers. The last thing that was seen on TV screens for 7 years.
And when BBC TV finally comes back after the war?
June the 7th, 1946. Jasmine Bligh herself returns as the presenter. She warmly welcomes viewers back, as if those 7 silent years were simply an intermission. Television picks up almost exactly where it left off, with no explanations, no mention of tonight's events. History moves on, quietly forgetting the echoes.
Is that how it always works? Little things quietly forgotten?
Often, yes. History is a story written from fragments. Some stories become legends, others vanish quietly. But that doesn't mean that they mattered any less. Every voice matters. Every broadcast, every fragment is part of a much bigger story.
I suppose not everything important needs to end up in the history books. Makes you wonder what else isn't as it seems.
Exactly! One of the many perks of travelling through time. You quickly realise that the past is never quite how people remember it. Now, let's see what else time has been keeping from us.